Hey guys!
Welcome back to Tribe Talk Tuesday. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about what the difference is between happiness and success and whether they kind of coincide with one another.
Yeah. I think it's a very important topic coming into 2019. That's a topic that's in everybody's head. You know, I want to be successful this year. I want to be more happy this year. So, yeah, it'll be a great talk to share, like, what is happiness and what is successful.
Molten Angie.
Molten Angie.
What do you think success is? Or what do you feel like success is for you?
Obviously, yes, one of, like, the main things is, like, career. You want to find success in your career. But then there's other things, too. You want to have successful relationships, successful friendships. And, like, just, like, your life in general, you want it to be successful for it. So I feel like it's like an accumulation of, like, a bunch of different things. So I feel, to me, I would feel the most successful if pretty much everything in my life is where I want it to be. Like, yes, career is a big part. Like, I want success in my career, of course. But I also want to have good friendships, a good relationship, and then, like, all of that kind of, like...
So, like, if someone asked you right now, do you feel like you're successful? What would you say?
I would say I'm getting there. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say I'm... I would say I'm at the peak of my success. Mm-hmm. I'm not fully there. Because there's just so much more that I want to do in order to, like, get the full success that I want. But I am at the peak because I am doing what I want, like, career-wise. I'm in the field that I want to be in. But I'm not fully there. Like, because I want to be a social worker. And in order for me to do that fully, I need to get my master's. So in order for me to fully be successful in that, I need to go back to school.
Right.
But I'm still working in the field, which I love doing.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm at the peak of my success. So I'm getting there. I'm just not fully there. And the same thing with, like, friendships. All of my friends, I love my friends. I think I have, like, the best group of friends. So when it comes to, like, that, I feel like it's very successful. Relationship, not so much. But, like, as long as I'm happy with myself, that's success.
Yeah. I was going to ask, it's like, is there, like, a specific thing, like, when you reach it, you're going to say, oh, okay, I'm successful because I already reached that? Or do you get to the point where, like, you know what, I am successful?
Yeah, no, I've gotten to that point. Like, when I graduated college, that to me was a success. So I always acknowledge, like, yeah, I was successful in completing my bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And then when I got my job, yes, I was successful in, you know, actually having a career. But like I said, I feel like there's different layers of success, and I don't feel like I'm fully at the point of success where I want to be. I'm, like, at the peak.
Do you think there is, like,
success.
a point of, like, once you reach that goal, like, that's success? Or do you think at any given time, life will throw a different curve and, like, okay, well, I want to go ahead and challenge myself to that. So then, like, you increase more of, like, what you do.
That's what makes life exciting. Right.
So,
you know?
so
like,
is there a point where you can just, like, you know what, I'm successful? Like, is there, like, I feel like that's always challenging, right? Like, you're thinking, like, oh, well, I'm going to be successful when I reach to that. But then you reach to that, then there's another curveball to you. Then, like, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself to reach more than that. Then, when do you ever stop to tell yourself, I'm fully successful?
Yeah.
If there's always challenging every single time.
I think, like, success is an ongoing thing, like, for the rest of your life. And, like, for me...
Wait, do you think it is or not?
It is. Like, an ongoing thing. Yeah. And I think for some people, success is in their career, and for others, it's success in other things. So, personally, for me, success is if I'm happy. So, if I'm... Of course, life, like, yeah, you're not always going to be happy forever.
Right.
But if you can... Which is, I guess, why success will never be a reachable.
It's so fluid.
Yeah,
It is very fluid. It's
yeah.
not like a reachable thing because I feel like for a lot of people, success is just, like you reach something and then you want to reach something else. Mm-hmm. Because I think like human nature is just you want to...
You want more.
Yeah, I mean, not even like in the... And I'm not saying more in like the materialistic sense. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying more like you just want like more for your life. So if you say, I don't know, you buy a new house, your success, like, not that, well, yeah, I guess like you succeeded in buying your house. Or if you were able to travel somewhere that you never traveled to, you were successful in that. But I think, success is only, again, like for me, success is if I'm happy. So, like, if I feel happy right now, then I would say, like, yeah, my life is very successful right now. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean I accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish, but I still feel like I'm successful in a way. Will I still, of course, keep reaching for more and more? Yeah, of course. I think that's just
right.
That's just life.
Right, and I think that's what I mean by like success can be a bunch of different things.
Yeah. Right.
Because like you said, like if you're happy, you feel successful. And I feel like that's where people get a little
Like, do you feel
confused.
Like society is more concerned with success in career?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I remember in Ed 2, when we took Ed 2, and we had to go through that book, and each country kind of had their own version of success. Or, like, they asked us the question, like, what do you do? And they said Americans will always say, oh, I am a graphic designer, or oh, I work in construction or something.
Like having a title?
Yeah, like a career title. I think, like, do you feel like in this society, everyone, or not, like in American society, success is usually, like, linked to career?
Right. For the most part, I think so.
You guys had mentioned that, like, when you're happy, or you reach a point where, like, you're happy, means you can call yourself, you can kind of say that you're successful, right? Mm-hmm. So how about those people who are less fortunate and doesn't really have much, but they're just happy people?
Yeah.
Is that considered success?
For them, yeah. It's probably considered success.
I think success is very subjective.
Mm-hmm. Well, would you call that success, or they just really know what the reality and they accept the fact that that is what they have right now in life, what's their present, and they're just happy to have what they have? But are they necessarily successful?
Well, I mean, that is...
Well, like I said, it's subjective. So you can't say... I can't tell someone if they're successful or not. It's whether they believe it or not.
Right.
So if they're happy with how their life is, and there are definitely, like, you know, you have some free spirits that just, they don't need a fancy car or anything. They're totally fine living in a small house, but maybe they're, like, traveling, they're, like, in an RV and they're traveling different places. Right. Like, for them, that is success. And I don't think you can pinpoint success to one specific subject.
Right. Like, I was reading, there was, like, this article that I was reading, and it was about this older man. I forgot where he was from. But he was pretty much working at the same diner for, like, pretty much his whole life. And he was getting paid, like, minimum wage, and he's gotten paid minimum wage his whole entire life. And there was, like, I don't know if it was, like, a petition or something, because people were talking about how he should get paid more, or they don't understand how he doesn't have a higher position in where he works, because they're pretty much saying that he's being, like, ripped off, or people are taking advantage of him because he's done that same job for years and doesn't complain. And he pretty much said that he's happy where he is. He loves what he does. And yeah, he might not make so much money, but he still is happy. He said, I was able to buy my house with this job. I was able to buy a car with this job. I was able to raise my children with this job. And he was like, and I'm happy. So that right there, it's like, you never know. Like, you could have... Other people would assume it's a shitty job. but
which is
that person in that position is happy with that and was able to be successful and have a successful life with that job.
Like his success is different from
than our success.
From other people's successes, which is totally fine. I think success is just, it's really based from person to person. And you can't judge someone else's level of what their level of success is compared to yours. Everyone's journey is different, and the way they view their journey is different, which is, I think, a great thing. And yeah, I guess it just comes down to success versus happiness.
How do you think, how can you get away from like that typical mentality of like successful in career means happiness? Because I feel like a lot of people still at this age still associate having like a really good career means that they're happy. You know what I mean? Like you can go to like an event and then you see people, it's like, oh, they have like a really great job, they must be happy. How do you break that mold though? Like, because I mean, like, obviously it's not really true. I mean, of course there are people who are successful in career and also happy, but then at the same time there are people who are not necessarily happy just because they're successful. So like, do you think it's like forever going to be like a stigma that a good career is necessarily associated with happiness, like how people think?
Well, I feel like that's how we're like raised to think, you know what I mean? Like when you're in school, or sometimes even your parents are like, oh, you need to go to college, you need to be successful and have a good career and make money so you can have a good life and be happy. So that's already kind of like, what's the word? It's already like engraved in our minds that happiness, having a good career will make us happy. When in actuality there's more, for me, there's more to that than just a career.
I don't know, I think it's like almost like a separation, but also like a combination.
Yeah.
Because I feel like for career, of course you want to be successful in your career. And if you're doing something you love, I feel like you'll be happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, people go into a job where they just want to be successful and they're not necessarily happy. But maybe they believe they'll be happy if they're successful. But yeah, again, it always comes back to it's based on the person. Like what their level of success is what's going to make them happy.
Right, but I think it's more like in general. Like, is it the only way you're going to be happy is if you're making good money and have a good career? Like, is that the only way you're going to be happy? And I don't think so.
So do you guys think it's somewhat of like inputting like fear into people? You know, like you grow up and you're just like, you have to go to college to be successful. In a way, that's kind of like fear. Like, oh my God, if I don't go to college, it means I can't be successful.
Well, I don't think people say it in a way to get you scared. I know, like, my parents would say it because they want me to be more than what they were able to be. And they want to make sure that I'm comfortable and I'm living, like, a good life financially. Because, yes, at the end of the day, you always need money. You need money to survive. Like, that's just the truth.
Yeah.
However, I feel like happiness, there's more to it. I feel like this career-wise is not just going to make you 100% happy.
Right.
There's more to happiness than just having a good job and making money. Because there's people who have so much money and are just alone and they're not happy. You know, like look at so many like famous people, actresses, actors, singers. They have so much money, and how many people commit suicide because they're depressed and they're not happy. You know, so it's just I think it's just more than having a good career and a good social status.
Yeah. But when do you get to the point where like, maybe not so much fear or like maybe more pressure.
Well, yeah.
So when do you get to the point where like, you know what, I'm not going to let pressure or fear lead my life, and I'm going to do whatever's going to make me happy and, you know, stop what society's trying to make me do.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get to that point? Or
I feel like if you know who you are and you're happy with yourself, I feel like, well, obviously you're happy with who you are and what you want to do. which then in turn leads to success.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does. Because, like, I feel when I was younger and I was, like, in school, not so much that I had pressure from people. Like, I didn't. I put more pressure on myself than anybody else. And in my head, I was like, no, I need to go to college. I need to get a good job because I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to have a good life. But I feel like once I got older and I truly realized what it was that made me happy, and what made me happy were the people in my life, you know, my friends, my family, and yeah, you want to make sure you love what you do. At the time, I did not love what I did because I was working retail. I hated my job. And I realized every time I was in there, I was not happy. And the things that did make me happy were the people that I surrounded myself with. And then I finally got a career in the field that I wanted. And yes, I was a lot happier because I was doing something that I loved. But that's all. But it's also very stressful because sometimes when you're at work, you can be so stressed doing so many things, and you find yourself, oh my god, like I'm just not happy right now.
Right.
I'm just not happy right now. Yes, I love what I do, but right now I'm just not happy right now. Right. And then when I get out, and then I realize, you know, I have so many great people in my life. I have an apartment. I have a bed to come home to sleep with. That right there makes me happy.
How do you approach a career path that will make you happy without that fear of like you're not going to be successful? I mean, like we were watching that comedian Jokoy. He was basically saying like all these Filipino nurses. He's 100%, not 100%, 90% of those Filipino nurses didn't necessarily chose nursing because that's what they want to do. It's because they know that there's a path for success in there. So like how, and I feel like it's always. I mean, you always have, like, a lot of issue with people who are, like, trying not to choose the path that they really want to do because of that fear of maybe they're just not going to work out for them or they're not going to earn money or they're not going to be successful. Right. So how do you get to a mentality of, like, you know what? It's going to make me happy, so let me just go there.
I think it's all in your own
like, do you
confidence.
Have to be right? Or do you have to be in like a good financial stable to be able to risk that kind of choice?
I just think you have to be mentally prepared to fail. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like you have to have that confidence within yourself because if you don't go into the field that you want without that confidence, you're not going to succeed. Like, I'm doing something I'm not happy with. Like, say, hypothetically, I'm in a field and I'm miserable. I hate it. But I'm only doing it because I'm making good money and I can see myself succeeding within that company. Right? However, I want to pursue something else because what I'm doing right now is just not what I want to do. I need to be mentally prepared to be able to take that on and be ready to work my ass off to do that, to get there. But if I don't have confidence in myself that I'm good at what it is that I truly want to do and I'm not ready to do it myself or put in the work, I'm not going to succeed in that. So I think in order for somebody to be able to pursue what it is that they truly want to do, they have to have that confidence in themselves. They need that seed to grow in themselves.
It's like, I love that thing that Jim Carrey said, which is, you know, his dad was funny, but he didn't see like a future in there. So he went into accounting, which then he ended up getting fired anyway, and they were homeless. And he goes on to say, you might as well do what you love because you can fail at what you don't love. So I think it's like, what Angie was saying, like you need to, and it really is hard for people to separate like success and career with not separate, like combine success and career with happiness, because so many people find success to be how much money you make when it should be you should do like what makes you happy, because if you work hard at it and you really love it, then you will be successful.
Right.
And even if you fail at that, like you'll still be happy because at least you tried doing what you love. And you can always, step back, or you can always like keep pursuing something that you love. So I think it's, people tend to separate the two. when people need to learn to kind of combine.
Or sometimes they even convince themselves that they're happy because they're making so much money when in reality they're not.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a facade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's like what it is we're learned to separate success and happiness when it needs to be put together. And I think that's the only way someone will truly be happy is when they put those two things together and pursue what makes them happy, but also keep pursuing it until they're successful at it. Yeah. And then they'll be completely happy.
Yeah.
But I think, success is like, it's an ongoing thing. You can always be more successful. Just like you can always, happiness always turns on and off depending on what happens in your life.
Right, yeah, because there could be a point in life where you're just not happy. You can be the happiest person in the world, but there'll be a point where something happens and you're just not in it anymore.
Well, that's kind of like what I was kind of thinking in my head right now, like different elements, like how do elements play, like that role of elements play into someone's life, where let's say you said like go approach something that's going to make you happy and then learn to know that like it's okay to fail, so you just keep on pursuing. But what if there's like just like life just throws something at you and you're like, okay, now you're fucked, and you can't keep going anymore to pursue your happiness. Do you necessarily keep going knowing that it's done, or do you revert back into like, you know what, let me go revert back to something that's just gonna make me money?
That depends on the person, honestly. Like some people will keep trying and trying to pursue what they want.
Like for me, I think you should keep trying until you reach the level of success, like reach your happiness. And I think it's not like you're reaching happiness. You'll always be happy, but you'll be happy in like spurts throughout your life.
But what if you get to the point where like you're no longer thinking of yourself because now there's other people involved, kind of incidents.
Like
let's say you're trying, let's say you're trying to pursue the happiness and blah 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 blah, and the next thing you know, like you got somebody pregnant or something like that, or you get pregnant or something like that, and then like this huge chunk of life responsibility now hits you, and now there's people who's going to be dependent on you. Would you still continue to pursue happiness knowing that like these people are looking at you and like expecting that you're
it's like a whole different like factor. It's something you have to like factor in, and it depends too who you're with, because sometimes you'll have a significant other who's going to be like, you know what, yes, go do what makes you happy. I'm here. I'm going to help you. Maybe they're working a good job too, and they're able to financially help, Yeah. And then sometimes you have those significant others where like, no, we need to make money right now. It's not about what makes you happy. Right. So it just really depends. It depends. It's really hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because we're really not at that that point right now.
I think it's just there's so many like different pressures. So I know definitely like looking back, like after finishing high school and stuff, my parents or family members would always say, obviously I did not want to be a nurse. I knew I wanted to do something in the art field. But they had this like pitch argument basically saying that like, well, pursue nursing first, get to the point where like you feel successful or you're earning enough money, and then you can do whatever you want that's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
But is that really like...
Again, it's like going back to the whole thing of career comes first.
Right. So is that kind of mentality, do you think that kind of pitch is kind of what's selling for people, thinking that like fear that like, if they approach happiness first and then all of a sudden life throws them a curveball, now they're not financially fine. But then if you approach financially first and then you turn back and then you do happiness, at least if like something curveball, like you're financially fine. Do you think that's why people are pursuing career first then happiness?
Oh, of course.
Because of that fear?
I definitely think people pursue something else because they're fearful of what will happen if they pursue what they actually want to do. It's
very challenging. And I think also like looking back when I got pitched that idea, I think my argument for not falling into that trap, not that saying the trap, or falling into that mentality or idea, was that like, what if it's too late to turn around? Or you never know that you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
So you don't know, your time is not given to you, and so you're not promised a tomorrow.
Right.
And so like, yeah, that mentality of like, yeah, once you like graduated nursing, you have enough money, then you can turn around and be like, you approach your art career.
Right.
How do you know you're gonna get there?
Right.
To turn back.
Say you did pursue nursing and then you got fired and it was hard for you to get back into nursing for whatever reason. Then you're just going to be completely unhappy because, one, you didn't even get to pursue what you really wanted to pursue. And two, the thing that you wanted to pursue, you weren't successful in anyway. So that's why, again, it goes back to like, you should at least try to pursue what you want to do and just work towards it.
Do you think because of that reason, that's why there's a lot of people who are unhappy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like, there's always that pressure you get from other people, from like how you deal with like your family. If you're the type of person, because I know you and I know how confident and how sure you are about what it is that you want to do career-wise, and you know that for sure is going to make you happy. Some people aren't confident in that, like how you are. So I feel like if you were like not sure about your success in doing what you do in graphic design, you will question, like, maybe my parents are right. Maybe I should go to nursing and make sure that graphic design is something I eventually want to do, and not just jump into it and not know that I'm going to be successful in it.
Right. I agree with Angie.
Right,
I feel like you do have to be confident in what you're doing in order to keep pursuing it and be successful.
And kind of like in order to take that risk too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Just because it's going to make you
risk,
happy, like, can you envision yourself with that kind of career where it's going to bring you where, I guess in a sense it's also like planning, right?
Yeah.
Looking ahead and like what to make sure that you are going to be okay with whatever happens if you choose that path.
And you obviously have to think about the bad stuff that could happen. So yes, you have to go in there knowing that there is a possibility that you will fail.
Just like there's a possibility that you'll fail even if you pursue something that doesn't make you happy.
Right. And like you need to be prepared for that. So if you're confident in what you want to do, sure, go for it, but you also need to be prepared for failure and people saying no, and you may not get the first job that comes your way, but that's not to say that it's not going to happen for you at all.
Right. And I feel like you'll only be truly happy when you do what makes you happy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a challenge for you, and I can't even think of it. I don't know if it's like I molded it like properly in my head yet. Okay. So you had mentioned earlier that like what we need to do basically is to be able to combine success and happiness. Correct? I heard that.
Yeah.
Right. So, given. Okay, I'm basing this challenge from a movie that I saw on Netflix this past week. It's called Happy as Lazaro.
Oh, I still want to watch that.
And this character is just basically happy. Like, he's just happy of what he has. Yeah. Is he successful? No. He's just happy with what he have. Sorry, I'm trying to think where I'm going with this.
No, but that is.
Yeah.
Look, success is different for everybody.
Right.
But,
so because he, I understand because you told me about the movie.
Right.
Like he's not like successful financially or anything.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he's not successful. To him, he thinks he's successful. Doesn't necessarily mean that everyone else thinks that that just because they're happy they're successful. There are people that are, like, for me, I'm gonna be happy, but I'm also ambitious enough that I want to be successful in other areas, such as career and stuff. Am I gonna separate success and career with happiness? No, because I still want my career to make me happy.
Okay, I think that's where my question was gonna be at. Because he's just generally happy, and he does not have ambitious drive.
But to him, that's success.
He doesn't even think about success. He's just happy.
That's successful for him.
Right.
Remember, success doesn't have to be career. Success is just what you feel success is. So to him, being happy is being successful.
Right. I think what I'm trying to question is that, like, the idea of success. Like, do we have to necessarily think about success? Or can we just be happy?
That's a good question.
Does happiness really necessarily be connected to success? Like, whether it's not career path or not friendship wise, can we just be naturally happy without even having an ambitious of like, yes, I'm success. Like I'm happy because I'm successful because I'm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Like,
I get what
can
you
you
mean.
just be happy?
Can we just like scratch off worrying about being successful and just be truly happy with what we have already, with the people that surround us, and just be happy, live
right? Because I think that's
happy.
what that movie was trying to show. Like, this guy is just naturally happy. He has no ambition to try to be more friends with. Well, obviously he wants to be friends with the people in the village, but if regardless it doesn't work, he's just still happy.
Yeah.
He's working really hard and no ambition, but he's just happy. So the idea of success, the word success, is there a way of like just not paying attention to that, or just not at all having it?
Honestly,
and just be happy.
Honestly,
or are we so damaged now
we
that
are
like,
as a society? Yeah, we are, because I feel like it's just such a focal point in our society that you need success. You need success. And
in
that's
one way
what's
or
going to
another.
make you happy. And I don't think people think about being just being happy. Just be happy.
Yeah.
But no, people think more, unfortunately, people think more about success before they think about happiness.
Right. And I feel like it's so damaged because you can have like a person, okay, like Lazaro, for example, who are just happy and nothing, like no success in his mind whatsoever. And then eventually, of course, you're growing up, so you're eventually going to find a partner, and that partner is a different or like very into success thing. And potentially...
But I guess the thing is, like, what if you were to ask Lazaro, do you think you're successful? He's going to say yes. That's why success doesn't necessarily have to be financial. And I think that's the problem.
But
people combine success and financial
stability.
Yeah, stability, or like an accomplishment or something.
Yeah.
I think success is just like that. Right now it's on TED Talk. It says success can mean feeling that tingle of excitement about what you do, sticking with what matters through hard times, living a life you can feel proud of. So success doesn't necessarily have to mean... So, yeah, if you were to ask Lazaro, do you think you're successful? He'll probably say yes, because I'm happy.
Well, that's the argument, is I think if you ask Lazaro if you're successful, he doesn't even know what successful means.
He's
like, it's not part of his vocabulary. It's not part of his life. So when you ask him, like, are you successful? He's probably going to go...
Maybe he does know it.
No, I'm saying, like...
in the movie. Like,
right, in in a sense, like, if somebody asks you that and you're like, what do you mean? I don't know exactly what you're asking me. Because it's just not part of you. So is there a way to live life without not knowing what success means or even it existing?
I don't
think
you're
just happy. You just do what you do, but you don't... Success is just not there.
Living in the United States, unfortunately... That is impossible, because wherever you go, that is forever engraved in your mind. You're like engraved to know you need success in order to survive. Not necessarily be happy. And I'm not saying that, like I said, you don't need success to be happy. However, it's impossible to go through your life and not know what success is, right. And it's just forever engraved. People teach us that all the time.
It's like good to bring Lazaro up, but I mean it is like a fictional movie, so he's born into a society where they might not necessarily know what success means. Unfortunately, and not unfortunately, but in our life, and it's not just American, I think everywhere, when people know the word success. However, I think each country has their own definition of success.
Right.
Just like the TED Talk had the definition of success as something that makes you excited.
Right.
In America, I think a lot of people correlate success with career. Well, so it's just you have to... Right. It's what your definition of success is. It always comes back to that.
Would you... agree that we are embedded in this into our head because we're born in a city in like kind of environment. Because I mean, like, yes, as much as like Lazarus is a movie, you can find like small town who is not exposed to modern life and society wise. You go there and you ask them, are you successful? I feel like that's not even part of their freaking language and their vocabulary.
How do you know?
Because I feel like people who are not necessarily exposed to like modern thing, that's not on the top of their list. I think right now, like, it's on top of our head because we are living it. We're surrounded by it. Because I definitely know, like, if you go back to the Philippines and you go to like a small village who is like out of reach of modern life, and they they live their life in a, it's almost kind of like a cottage or whatever, and then, or like they plant for rice, like rice planting or whatever, and you ask these people, or you just look at them and they're just so happy, they're living their life. If I ask them, like, are you successful, I have a feeling that they're just gonna look at me with blank face and ask me, what exactly are you trying to ask me?
That's because success is just a word. And I love that, I forget who said it, but they were like, a lot of people ask us, are you successful? When they should really be asking you, are you happy? Everyone's definition of success is different. And instead of asking someone, do you think you're successful? I think it should just be, are you happy, like, with what you do? Are you happy with your life? Not, are you successful? I don't think success should be the definition of happiness.
Right.
So, okay, so knowing the fact that there are people who are living that way, right? And knowing the society that we're living right now, is it too late to turn around and have that kind of mentality?
That's a very, like, that's a hard question because I don't think that there is. I just feel like society now that's just what it's about.
It's like very conditioned.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it comes down to. It's just what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Right. I think, like, at the end of the day, it's like focusing on like, what do you want? I think that's where it kind of, originates, right?
Yeah. It's always like, it's definitely how you word things. And I think, like, that's what's sad is, people ask you, do you think you're successful? Instead of asking, like, do you think you're happy? Like, are you happy?
Yeah.
And I think that should be, people should ask each other that more often than trying to see if they're successful in a certain area of life.
I think people don't necessarily ask each other, are you happy?
They don't.
Because people don't know what happiness means.
True. Well, they don't know what, they haven't thought about it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm pretty sure if you were to go up to somebody and be like, are you happy? That's gonna, like, throw them for a loop. They could just look at you like, wow, no one has ever sat here and asked me,
like,
what, am I happy? And then you start thinking about it, like, wait, am I really happy? Like, I don't even know.
I feel like in a general sense, like, obviously don't say, like, are you happy? But, like...
But when you meet somebody and you're asking them, like, about their life, like, are you happy?
Right.
Like,
but that is a good question. Like, are you happy? It's a challenging question. Are you happy?
Actually, that is a good question. Yeah, that is a good, like, challenging question. Instead of ask question, like, just ask, are you happy? Make people think if they're happy.
Yeah, because I feel like if you ask somebody, like, are you successful? In the back of their head, they're like, yeah, I'm successful. I have a good career.
Yeah.
But... are you successful though?
Right.
It's so easy to answer. But when you ask people, are you happy? It's like,
what?
Like, shit, am I happy? Oh my God.
Let me think about that.
Give me a second.
Wow, we should ask people that.
But is it such a hard question to answer because we're just constantly moving, and then somebody asks you, are you happy? Now you kind of have to stop and think back of like what you've been doing and actually look back and ask yourself, are you happy?
Well, I mean, it's like the conversation that Bolt and I had one time where we were just really, like, sitting down and we were talking about how we're so focused on what our next goal is that we fail to, like, sit down and truly, like, take in everything we've already accomplished. Like, we got this apartment, that makes us, like, really happy, and we have all these good things in our life, but it's just, like, sometimes you don't even think about it. You like take it for granted, and you just start thinking, okay, I need to do what's the next thing that's gonna give me success, and you stop to think about what already it is that you have that makes you happy.
Yeah, and I think that's like what society and people need to do now is just sit down with themselves. I feel like everyone is so on the go and trying to do this thing, and then when they do that, they finish that thing, they got to do another thing. I think more people should really like sit down with themselves and think, is what I'm doing now, like, am I okay with what I'm doing now, or am I happy with what I'm doing now, or I don't know, just like really like start to think about things. It is such like a fast-paced society, and people definitely need to like just really center themselves and think about things like that, like do things about themselves more.
Yeah, and I think I feel like that's like a challenge we should probably like put out there, like tell us like, are you happy? Like sit down and think and ask yourself, am I happy? And see what happens, And
if you're not, like, what do you think would make you happy?
Yeah. Do you feel like you're successful? And like, do you agree? Do you feel like success is only career-wise, or is there more to it than just career?
Yeah. Like, do you think success and happiness should be a combination and not separated?
Yeah. So let us know, guys.
Yeah, let us know, you guys.
the conversation got pretty.
I know, pretty intense. Deep, but I still want to know. I want to know if you have an opinion. Please write it down in a comment below. Are we able to revert back?
Yeah.
To how like people who are not necessarily exposed to modern life, are we able to wash away what society has already feed into our head?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Let us know, you guys.
Yeah, let us know, and let us know if there's any other topics you want us to talk about too. Like,
let us know if you're happy.
Yeah, are you happy?
Yeah.
We challenge you to sit down and think with yourselves.
We're definitely happy that we had this conversation. But then the question is, are we happy now?
Like, and hopefully you guys were able to take something from it too.
Bull and Angie, are you guys happy?
Oh God. We're gonna have
on that note,
we're gonna have to think about that after this podcast. But it is a very hard question.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thank you guys.
Thanks for listening.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah, like and subscribe, you guys. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.